Omotayo heard the tree breathe. It was the sound of dry wood scraping against bone, slow and hungry. Something inside the trunk shifted, like a giant heart that had forgotten how to beat. Then a voice rose from the hollow, deep, cracked, and cold as river mud. A promise made is a debt not paid. And the ground beneath her small feet began to open. Long ago, before bright city lights chased away every shadow, before cars hissed along wide roads, there was a village of mud walls and red dust. The people there farmed, told jokes at night, and feared only two things: famine and the Iroko tree that stood at the edge of the dark forest. In that village lived Oluronbi. Oluronbi had one dream. She wanted a child, more than she wanted air. Every day she touched her flat belly and winced. Every market day, she watched other women tie babies to their backs and felt a big emptiness bloom inside her chest. Oluronbi tried every trick the elders named. She drank hot pepper water before dawn. She slept with a stone under her pillow. She rubbed snail slime across her stomach. Nothing worked. The women began to whisper. Maybe a curse, they said behind their hands. Maybe your spirit gate is closed. Their words stung worse than bee bites. One blazing noon, an old woman stopped by Oluronbi's stall. Her skin was lined like cracked clay. Her eyes were dull in color, but sharp in aim. She pointed one thin finger at Oluronbi and spoke in a tired hiss. Go to the Iroko tree, she said. Ask the spirit, but be ready to pay. Oluronbi's mouth went dry. Even children knew the stories. The Iroko tree stood taller than 10 huts, black in daylight, silver in moonlight. Birds would not land on its branches. Goats refused its shade. People swore that if you walked behind it at dusk, the tree took one step closer to you. Yet hope is louder than fear when a heart is empty. That same evening, while the sun bled on the horizon, Oluronbi wrapped a red cloth around her waist, took a jar of palm oil, and walked alone into the hush of the forest. The air near the Iroko tree felt thick, like water that could choke. Oluronbi knelt on damp leaves, pressing her forehead to the roots. "O spirit of the Iroko tree," she said, voice shaking, "give me a child. If you do, I will bring that child back to you as an offering. I swear it." The forest froze. A low groan rolled up the trunk. No wind, no bird, no bug made a sound. Oluronbi waited. When nothing else happened, she took the silence as a yes. She backed away, heart banging, cheeks wet with strange joy. Months later, her belly grew round, large like a calabash full of water. People who had once whispered now smiled and said, "We knew the gods would bless you." She gave birth to a bright-eyed girl and named her Omotayo, which means joy has come again. The child laughed early, walked early, and asked bold questions. She made the elders laugh by copying their stiff walk. She dared village boys to chase lizards and never lost a race. Oluronbi watched her daughter and forgot the promise made under the dark tree. She said to herself, "Surely the spirit does not need a real child." It was only words, but words are seeds. They grow roots, even in rock. On the night Omotayo turned 7, the wind changed. It whistled through closed windows, calling a single name: Oluronbi, Oluronbi, until dogs howled and chickens refused to rest. The next dawn, the river ran backward for one breath, then forward again. Fish floated belly up, as if confused. 3 goats vanished from their ropes. The elders gathered and shook their heads. "The Iroko spirit is awake," they warned. "Someone broke faith." Oluronbi hid inside her hut, hugging her daughter close. "Do not go near the forest," she said. "Promise me." Omotayo saw fear in her mother's eyes and nodded. though she did not understand. At midnight, a cold voice seeped through the mud walls. Promise. Kept. His promise. Honored. Oluronbi stuffed cloth in her ears. She pretended sleep. When dawn broke, she grabbed Omotayo, stuffed food in a sack, and fled toward the hills, far from the cursed tree. But the forest is wide, and roots run deep. The Iroko sees beyond branches and leaves. You can outrun men, not spirits. One bright morning, mother and child stopped near a field to rest. Omotayo followed a blue butterfly to the edge of tall trees. A sudden wind puffed, playful, and pulled her straw hat away. She laughed and chased it among the shadows. The wind grew stronger, tugging, teasing, leading her in circles until she stood before a trunk larger than a house. She felt the ground hum like a drum underfoot. Branches bent low, bark split like lips. Before she could scream, the tree swallowed her whole. All that remained was her hat, spinning on the dirt. Oluronbi's cry ripped through the air. It turned birds silent. She ran to the spot, clawing at bark, begging the forest to give her child back. Her husband arrived, eyes dark, breath fast. When he learned what Oluronbi had done, he stepped away as if she were fire. "You offered our child," he shouted. "Who trades life for a wish?" Oluronbi fell to her knees. "I was empty," she said. "I thought I could trick the spirit." Her husband walked off the path without looking back. "May the gods judge you," he said, voice flat. He was never seen again. The village elders met. None dared face the Iroko. The chief shook his head. "The spirit is too strong," he said. At the back of the crowd stood Aremu, Oluronbi's older brother. Aremu limped because years ago a hyena had taken a chunk of his calf muscle. He wore an old goatskin cap and smelled of dry leaves and smoked meat. "I will go," Aremu said. "The tree owes me nothing. Maybe it will listen." Many scoffed. One cousin whispered, "He can barely outrun a chicken." Still, nobody else stepped forward. That evening, Aremu packed a gourd of palm wine, a live chicken, and his favorite hunting knife. He patted Oluronbi's shoulder. "I cannot promise victory," he said, "but I will bring back news." Oluronbi grasped his hands. "Thank you," she wept. "Bring her home." Aremu reached the Iroko tree at twilight. The trunk looked even bigger up close, like a tower that had sprouted from the earth. He poured wine at the roots and placed the chicken on the ground. The bird froze, eyes wide, then fainted, dead. A voice slid from the wood. "Why do you knock on my silence?" Aremu bowed his head. "I come for my sister's child," he said. "Take me instead. I am old meat, but I mean my words." The tree groaned. The mother promised what was not hers. "Yet I am curious. The girl may walk free if she passes 3 tasks, fail, and both stay forever." Aremu nodded once. "Name the tasks." "I will name them to the child," the tree said. "She is already inside my realm." Omotayo opened her eyes to a place that was part forest, part night dream. The sky was green. The ground felt like wood and water at once. Shadows stood upright, whispering jokes she could not catch. She was afraid, yes, but also angry. "Spirit," she shouted, small fists tight. "You stole me." A deep chuckle made leaves tremble. "I take only what is owed," the voice replied. "Prove your worth, little girl, and you may leave." 3 tall shapes stepped from the gloom, each holding a different item. A basket full of holes, a broken broom, and nothing at all. They placed the items before her and melted back into mist. A last breathy order came. "Finish one, the next will follow. Fail, and you will never see your family again." Omotayo bit her lip but stood straight. "I will not fail," she whispered to herself. She picked up the basket. It was more gap than weave. The ground around her shifted, becoming a long beach beside a slow river. The water looked normal, yet the air above it shimmered with heat. Omotayo sank the basket. By the time she lifted it, every drop was gone. She hissed in frustration and tried again. Same result. She stomped the sand. How can I carry water in this foolish thing? A small crab scuttled by and paused. If the container leaks, fix the leaks, it clacked in a dry voice. Omotayo blinked. Crabs talk here? Only when someone listens, the crab answered. Then it dug under the sand and vanished. She gazed at the towering palms nearby. The wide leaves curled like sleepy tongues. An idea sparked. She tore 2 palm leaves, folded them, and pressed them inside the basket walls, plugging each hole with damp clay from the riverbank. When she dipped the basket again, the water stayed. Task 1 completed and successful. The sky flashed white and the scene melted away. The basket vanished. The broom lay now at her feet. Omotayo spluttered as new air pressed into her lungs. She stood in a clearing, carpeted with leaves as deep as her knees. Above her, twisted branches blocked most light. The broom in her hands was broken, bristles hanging by a thread. She poked the ground. The leaves stirred, then multiplied. No matter how many she moved aside, more dropped from nowhere. Her arms soon shook. Her breath came short. She sat on a stump and wanted to cry. Then she remembered evenings at home, watching her mother tie grass brooms with thin string. She tore strips from her own wrapper, knotted them around the bristles, and used dry vines to strengthen the handle. Her palms bled, but the broom, reborn, felt solid. Let's try again, she muttered. This time each sweep cleared a narrow path. She moved in slow circles, singing a work song to keep pace. Hours, or maybe years, seemed to pass. She dared not stop. When the last leaf lifted, it floated upward and burst like smoke. Silence. The broom dissolved. Wind rushed in, hot and cruel. She braced herself. Task 2 completed and successful. The last task was to sing a song that would make the wind to sleep. The wind was loud. It howled like wounded animals. It flung grit that stung her eyes. Worst of all, it carried voices. You are weak. You will fail. No one comes for you. The words hurt. Omotayo folded her arms over her head, buckling. Tears ran down her cheeks, but the wind drank them before they could fall. She searched inside her mind for any bright memory. She found her mother's laugh, cracked like thunder after rain. She found her uncle's deep song when he carved wood. She found the lullaby her mother hummed at night. Sleep, little river, hush, now hush. Moon will guard you, hush, now hush. She began to sing that lullaby. Her voice shook, but she kept going. The tune was simple, only 4 notes, climbing and falling, like steps. She sang again, louder. She stamped 1 foot to keep rhythm. The wind paused. It seemed to listen. It swirled slower, softer. Omotayo closed her eyes and let every breath pour into the song. When she opened her eyes, the air was still. Ash-gray feathers drifted down like quiet snow. A final whisper drifted past her ear. Done. Go. Dark blinked into light. The forest, real forest, appeared around her. Her uncle Aremu staggered forward, arms wide. She passed all the tests. The Iroko Tree had released her. Back home, Oluronbi sat outside her hut, face hollow, eyes dry from too much crying. She heard running feet and looked up. Omotayo, real, solid, bolted into her arms. Mother and child clung to each other, both shaking too hard to speak. Aremu dropped to his knees, exhaustion turning his skin gray. Oluronbi helped him drink water while whispering thanks between sobs. The village gathered. They stared, with wide eyes, crossing themselves in shock. Many bowed toward the forest, unwilling to speak the tree's name. Above the trees, the sky cracked with thunder, though no rain came. A single sentence rolled across the clouds. Promises are roots that do not rot. Every ear heard it. No tongue dared answer. The elders met again, this time quick to act. They chose young men to cut stones and build a small shrine at the foot of the Iroko Tree, a safe distance away. Each new moon, the villagers now leave gifts: yam, kola, woven cloth, but no one offers blood or life. When travelers ask, why the shrine? The people say, to remind us that words live long. Oluronbi walks slower these days. She keeps her head bowed and her voice low. Some still glare at her, but most have pity. She teaches children to weave baskets that do not leak and brooms that do not break. Omotayo is different now. She laughs, but there is old knowledge behind her eyes. At night, she sometimes steps outside and sings softly into the wind, just to be sure it stays asleep. Aremu rests his bad leg by the hearth, telling stories of strange lands between roots. He never boasts. He ends each tale the same way. A promise costs nothing to make and everything to pay. So remember this tale when you are hurt or eager and your mouth grows reckless. The world is made of agreements. Some you speak, some you sign, some you whisper in tears at the foot of a dark, tall tree. Make them with care, keep them with honor, for old spirits do not forget, and the wind still knows your name. Do not promise what you cannot give. I hope you enjoyed the story.